Ever feel like you need to win a gold medal just to prove you're worth anything? Like you're stuck in a role and just gotta, I don't know, glitch the system.
Uh-huh. Glitch the system. I like that.
Well, get ready to jump into the game world because we're going deep into Wreck-It Ralph.
Buckle up.
We're not just playing around here. We're looking at the psychology behind seeking validation all through the lens of this surprisingly deep kids movie.
And we're going right to the source, digging into the actual Spanish script, uncovering some really fascinating nuances.
There's a lot more to this candy-coated world than meets the eye. Right?
Oh, absolutely. You know, we all love a good hero's journey, and on the surface, that's what Wreck-It Ralph seems to be. But the film gets so much more profound when you start examining those deeper motivations. This need to be seen, to be valued. It's universal, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
And Ralph, he's the epitome of that, wanting to break free from his bad guy label. But I think when we look closely at why he's so fixated on that medal, well, that's where things get interesting.
It's not even really about being a hero, is it? It's about what that medal represents to him, that external validation. Remember that scene? He's messing with the cake toppers.
Oh, yeah.
He puts himself right at the top, but it's not about wanting to be Felix.
Right.
It's wanting the recognition, the admiration that Felix gets. That's the key.
So it's less about some innate desire to be good and more about the rewards he's associating with it.
Exactly. And the film actually gives this a name, destructive envy. It's this almost instinctive urge we sometimes have, wanting what others have, even if it means, I don't know, maybe even tearing others down in the process just a little.
Oof, yeah, that hits a little too close to home.
It's human nature, right? And we see this play out with Ralph throughout the whole movie. He's so fixated on this external validation, this almost shortcut to feeling good about himself,
Right.
that he ends up causing chaos wherever he goes.
Which, let's be real, haven't we all been there?
Yeah.
You know, seeing someone else's success and feeling that twinge of, if only I had that, then I'd be worthy.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Oh, 100%. And that's the genius of Wreck-It Ralph. You know, it takes these complex psychological ideas, these very real human struggles, and it packages them in this really relatable, even funny way. But it doesn't shy away from the consequences of constantly chasing that external validation. Which actually brings us to our other main character, Vanellope von Schweetz.
Ah, yes. Our favorite glitching racer. Talk about someone who knows a thing or two about feeling inadequate, right? I mean, Vanellope's whole thing, right? Being a glitch, always being told she doesn't belong. It's practically looking at Ralph's insecurities in a broken mirror, isn't it?
It really is. She just wants to race, to be accepted. But that glitch, it makes her an outcast. And that feeling, that isolation, being seen as fundamentally flawed, that's something Ralph knows all too well.
It's like the movie's saying, look, here are two sides of the same coin. You've got Ralph, the villain, told he's nothing but destructive. Then you've got Vanellope, the glitch, told she's broken, unusable, both defined by what other people see as flaws, right?
Exactly. And that's what makes their friendship so powerful, so central to the film. They see each other, you know, beyond those labels, those definitions everyone else puts on them.
It's like they see something worthwhile, something good, where everyone else just sees, well, a glitch and a wrecker.
Mm.
But how do they get there? How do they go from feeling trapped by those labels to believing in themselves?
It's a process, for sure. There's no easy answer, no magic self-help book and sugar rush.
Right.
What they find is something way more powerful, genuine connection. And in a way, they stumble onto a sort of psychological approach. It's actually called cognitive restructuring.
Cognitive restructuring. Okay, that sounds a little intense for a kid's movie, doesn't it? Break that down for me.
I know, right? Sounds complicated. But it's basically about recognizing and then challenging those negative thought patterns we all have. Think of it like Ralph keeps telling himself, I'm just a villain.
Right, right.
And Vanellope, she's stuck on, nobody wants me because I'm glitched. Powerful limiting beliefs.
Ugh, yeah. Been there. Those thoughts can really mess you up.
Yeah.
So how does cognitive restructuring, how does it actually help?
So step one is just noticing those thoughts, which both Ralph and Vanellope, they're swimming in them. But then you got to question them. Look for evidence that maybe those thoughts, maybe they're not completely true.
You know, instead of Ralph just accepting, I'm a villain, period, he might ask himself, hold on, is there any way my strength, even if it seems destructive, could actually be used for good? Something like that.
Exactly. And that's where their actions, especially Ralph's, start to line up with those cognitive restructuring principles. Even though he doesn't know it, of course. Remember when he's building Vanellope, that racetrack? He's smashing those hard candies with his fists.
Oh, yeah. Such a cool visual, right? Literally breaking down barriers.
Right. And he's still driven by that desire for a medal.
Yeah.
Still wants that validation. But by helping Vanellope, he's taking action that contradicts his whole I'm only destructive belief.
Yeah. And for Vanellope, seeing Ralph step up like that, using his strength for her, that's got to be huge for her self-perception.
Oh, absolutely. It reinforces this idea. Maybe her glitch, it doesn't have to define her. That she can be loved, accepted, glitch and all. Remember that cookie medal she gives him? You're my hero.
Oh, man.
That's not external validation. That's genuine, heartfelt appreciation.
Gets me every time. It's like they're starting to see themselves through each other's eyes, seeing the good. But, of course, it's Wreck-It Ralph. Things can't be that easy. And that's what I love about this movie. It doesn't sugarcoat things. It shows us that personal growth, it's messy. It's not always a straight line to happy ever after.
You got it. And just when it seems like Ralph's going to break free from that need for external validation, boom, everything changes. We get the truth about King Candy.
Yeah.
And Ralph makes that choice, that heart-wrenching choice, betrays Vanellope.
I know. That scene where he smashes her cart still gets me. It's like all that progress, all those little victories, just gone.
It proves that we're all works in progress, right?
Even Ralph, he falls back on those old habits, those destructive tendencies, because deep down, he still believes that's the only way he can be seen, the only way to get what he wants.
And it ends up hurting Vanellope, the one person who actually saw him, who appreciated him for who he was. Just heartbreaking.
It is. But you know what's interesting? The parallel between Ralph and King Candy, or, Turbo.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about an extreme case of validation seeking.
Oh, man. Turbo. His whole arc is like a warning sign, right? What happens when that need for validation, that need to be seen, it becomes an obsession? He takes over an entire game. Becomes a whole new character just to stay in the spotlight.
Wow. Yeah. It's like he never learned,
Mm-hmm.
that real fulfillment. It comes from within. It's not about trophies or applause. It's got to be deeper than that.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, it makes Ralph's ending that much more powerful.
Right. He sees the consequences of what he's done, the chaos he's unleashed, and in that moment, he embraces a different kind of heroism. Not the medal-worthy kind he thought he wanted, something way more meaningful.
His "I'm bad and that's good" speech. As he's sacrificing himself.
Mm-hmm.
Chills every time.
It's incredible, right? Because he redefines bad. Right there, right then. It's not about his programming, not about his nature. It's about choices. And he chooses to use his strength, all that perceived badness, to do good.
Yeah.
Even if it means no one will ever know.
And as he's falling, about to be sucked into the void, remember that shot of the cookie medal?
Yeah.
The one Vanellope made him, just clutching it.
Oh, yeah.
Powerful. Because it reminds us that real validation, genuine validation, it comes from the heart, not from some system, some external reward.
It's about connection, about being seen for who you truly are.
And that's what Ralph finds with Vanellope, right? That real connection is worth more than all the medals in the arcade. So yeah, we get that classic happy ending. Vanellope racing, Ralph content. He even gets on that cake. But goes beyond that. What can we take from this? What's the message, the real-life takeaway after all the glitching and game hopping is done?
I think it's a reminder that we all want that validation. It's natural, it's human, but it's about looking at where we're trying to get that from. Is it superficial, like chasing those empty medals? Or are we building real connections based on, authenticity, acceptance, the stuff that lasts?
That's so good. And it took a deep dive into, a kid's movie to really unpack all that?
Right. Wreck-It Ralph. It's not just a fun time, It's a reflection of ourselves, our own little victories and struggles in this crazy game of life.
Love it. And on that note, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an incredible deep dive.
My pleasure.
And to our listeners, I have a challenge for you. Go back and watch Wreck-It Ralph. But this time, pay attention to those cookie medals. You might be surprised what other little life lessons are hiding in plain sight. Until next time.